This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Thanks for checking out one of our past live sessions. If you had fun and enjoyed it, we'll hope you tune in for one of our future lives. And remember, if you're one of our paid members, you can watch these and all the rest of them anytime on your platform. So let's get this out of the way and talk a little bit about what we're doing today. So I wanted to make some fun little holiday cupcakes, just because it's that time of year and I'm feeling festive. I've done some where we do the kind of pipe swirl trees and it covers the whole cupcake, but it is a ton of frosting. So I was just trying to look for a way to do it so that it looks cute. So I've done a little flat ice, dipped it in some sugar. That way the tree can be a little smaller and you get a little white sparkle and a little change of color there. And I was trying to figure out something that I could do, that I could show you all, that would give you some varieties. So I did a smaller version, some with a bunch of trees, even played around with doing some more kind of like succulent spike style ones, and just some that are kind of like nondescript. But when you pair them all together, it kind of makes a nice little scene, and they're all really easy to do. And basically I used 2-3 tips at most and the same colors of buttercream. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull out a cupcake. I've got some extra buttercream. Ooh, it's a little cold. And I am just going to flat ice this cupcake. So I'm just going to use my spatula, push that frosting towards the edge, right? If there's any excess, just use your spatula, rotate it to clean it off. And then I have a couple of things that I've used to dip. So either large, coarse sparkle sugar, right? So it has kind of a carnauba wax confectioner glaze coating on it that gives it a little extra shine and dimension, so it'll make things sparkle. Or a favorite snow of decorators for a long time, just some dried shredded coconut. And what you can do then is, while the frosting is still kind of wet, right, so before it starts to crust a little bit, just gently roll the edges in whatever you prefer. So it could be colored sprinkles, it could be white sugar, it could be coconut, but that'll just give you a little nice snow effect. And I'll do one with the sugar as well, just to get it ready. Right, and then I'll show you a third one, just for if you're feeling super, super low key about your decorating. So I've got 2 with nice little edges, and I'm gonna do a third. And I'm going to use a number 21 tip for some of my trees. And it's a great way if you want to do a nice flat rosette, right? So if I'm not feeling piping everything out, I'm just going to draw a nice flat rosette on the surface, and then you can literally dip the whole thing. And you can see it gives you a nice flat sparkly surface to work on. So if you're not feeling tons of frosting, you don't even want to get out of your spatula, this is a great way to achieve a flat ice really quickly by just dipping it in that sugar. And it kind of evens out all the lines and ridges. It gives us a nice little sparkly effect on top, and we are ready to start decorating. Right. So I've used a couple of tips. One is my 1M, right? So it's just a star tip. It's a big kind of decorator size, and it's great for making rosettes. A 21, and then I just have a big old 12, right? So for my, blocking myself, my trees right here, right? Basically what I'm doing is I'm making a rosette on the bottom, and then every time I swirl around, I go just a little smaller until I get to the top. And that'll give you a nice tree. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the coconut. So I'm just gonna make sure my frosting's coming out. Apologies, it's a little chilly in the studio today, so things are gonna be a little feisty with me. So I'm just gonna start in the middle, squeeze till I get a nice star, and then just draw a circle right around that. And then instead of finishing it like I normally would, I'm going to pull up and continue spiraling until I get a nice tree shape. And I'm going to keep piping as I pull up, because that'll give me a nice little peak, right? Oh, and I'm trying not to hold it so that it falls over. was trying to show you a good angle, but I'm also trying to kill my tree by doing it. So while it's wet, it's a good time to add anything like sprinkles if you want to, and I'm feeling very pastel this Christmas. And then I keep a lot of little pre-cut gum paste decorations on hand. So when I'm doing stuff, if I've got extra stuff, I usually cut out little things like hearts and stars, store them in a little plastic Tupperware, a little cardboard box, whatever. And then when I need them, I can pull them out and paint them gold, silver, you know, pearl, whatever, and they're ready to go. And it's just a good way to use up the excess sometimes, and it keeps things on hand and makes your projects more efficient. So then we have a cute little Christmas tree style. You can make the frosting a nice vibrant green, do red and white sprinkles, do metallics, whatever works, whatever you like and whatever makes you feel all in the mood for Christmas. Right. And then I'm gonna do a second style of tree with my 21 tip. So I'm going to use the tip and hold it straight up and down over the surface and just let it balloon out until it starts to ruffle. And as it's ruffling, I'm just gonna pull it up and wiggle until it makes a nice little point. And you can see that gives us a nice little ridged cone shape, which on its own probably doesn't look very tree-like, but when you start doing a couple of them and you make them different sizes and you line them up and then say add some sugar or some sprinkles, you start to get that nice little forest of evergreens kind of feel to it. And they look really precious. The other tip that I like to use when doing this is my number 12. So I think on my all sugar base, I'm gonna do just some white trees. So very similar to what I did with my 21, right? Where I'm gonna let that frosting balloon out and then just gently pull up so I get a nice gradient, right? And when your frosting is cold, it's going to do that where it doesn't want to give you a nice peak. So if you're getting blunt ends on the top of your little cones, warm your frosting up some and it'll help, right? It'll make it pull a nice soft peak for you. But since mine's not doing that, I'm just going to shape it lightly. And then you can just make yourself some nice little sparkle, snow-covered trees, and they don't have to be perfect or exact. But when you start to get everybody together, you see, you make a nice little scene. So this on its own probably doesn't look like much, but when you pair it with everything else, you can kind of make a nice little vignette, and it's a good way to not use up a lot of bags, make a lot of colors, and get a high impact for your decorations. Right, so the other thing I did was I made a smaller version of my rosette tree, and I also made a nice little spike tree. So when I did my smaller version, I just let it ruffle out and then gave it a quick little swirl and a pull. And you can see you get a different effect to the bottom of the tree, and you get a nice cone shape. So there's a few different ways you can accomplish that and get some nice variety. And then for my spikes, it's a little easier to see on a plain cupcake, but you can ice the whole bottom. And really what you want to do is imagine there's a circle right there and just hold the tip on its side so you get a nice little buildup and pull your spike. And you're just going to rotate so that way you can keep the bag in place the entire time and pull it out. And then I'm just going to fill in the center so that there's something for them to attach to, and you can pull that next round. And I try to line them up so that they're in between the ones below them. And I am just going to load some more frosting into my bag really quickly, because I have run out. That is the one thing about only using 1 or 2 colors. You have to load your bags more because you'll use up a lot of it. So we'll get more frosting in the bag and then we'll just keep going. So every time I go up, I build up the center a little more, and then just keep going out with shorter and shorter spikes. And you can take these up pretty high because the buttercream itself is pretty stable. And you can make some kind of massive evergreens with them. So this one is definitely for your small children and your sugar and frosting lovers. But you can see you get a nice kind of evergreen tree look. And then you can go to town with your sprinkles and your sparkles and your stars. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways to make evergreen trees. You only need 1 or 2 colors and a couple of bags and tips. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's little set of cupcakes. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecoratingschool.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.